Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up next, your calls about the issues that matter to you. Margaret Mengi joining us now to talk a little bit about maybe there'll be some indictments. Margaret, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Not bad. So you live in Bloomington. Does that mean you're a Hoosier?
You know, I'm sort of a Hoosier. I'm half a Hoosier. I'm originally from Wisconsin, so I'm a Badger Hoosier.
I was going to say that's a tough call. You Badgers are tough people to even. I mean, you're living in the land of the Hoosiers, but I think once a Badger, always a Badger, from what I've heard.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, I can't shake it.
Speaking of which, what do you make of the Barr hearings?
Oh boy. Well, I was glued to the TV yesterday, and I thought Barr did a fantastic job. He couldn't be fazed. He couldn't be shaken. He was completely unflappable and not going to take any guff from anyone. So I thought he was absolutely wonderful.
Boy, you take a look at just everything that these folks threw at him, and they really didn't say anything. They just went after his character and just seemed to be making up a bunch of lies.
They did, and they didn't score. They didn't score any points for their side. Kamala Harris probably made the best attempt, in my view. You know, she's an experienced prosecutor, so she knows how to question someone in such a way that you could expose something. And she gave it her all by trying to show that his conclusions weren't valid because he hadn't examined the underlying evidence. But he shot right back at her. Listen, this isn't how that works. We accepted that the underlying evidence was valid because $30 million in 2 years were spent on this investigation. So she didn't score any points there. She did her very best, but didn't score a single point. He really came out shining. And we're so lucky to have him.
Indeed. What do you make of where this goes next? And, of course, the Attorney General said, I am going to investigate how this came about. And do you think that's a good call?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's this feeling out here in the country, I mean, outside of Washington, D.C., that something has to be done. This absolutely cannot stand. There has to be accountability. People have to face consequences. I think a lot of people have this feeling that no one in Washington is ever held accountable. And what we're looking at here is an enormous conspiracy to take down the president, to reverse a legitimate presidential election, reverse the results, and overthrow a sitting president. It's outrageous, and I think we all need to get really riled up. I think people are riled up, but I think we need to voice that every chance we get with our members of Congress, when we see them, and by phone and by email and everything. It's just, this can't stand.
Let's talk a little bit about Mr. Clapper and what's next for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, James Clapper and John Brennan were really, it appears, in cahoots here. John Brennan, as the former CIA director, I think never in American history have we seen a previous CIA director on television every day calling a sitting president a traitor, or implying that he's a traitor working for a foreign government. This is absolutely outrageous, and it went on for months and months and months. And James Clapper, I have a little bit of a different feeling about him, the former director of national intelligence. There's something in me, and I've watched him very closely in testimony, and my sense is that that he sort of went along with things, but maybe wasn't really involved in what was going on. And I think this happens in Washington, where you have directors of agencies coming in for a year or two, and then they leave, and they never really get control of the agency. The people who are really in control are the senior permanent staff who are there for 20, 30 years. But certainly John Brennan had a long enough run at the CIA, and in his statements, he is certainly he's been going way out on a limb and slandering the president repeatedly, and was intimately involved with the dossier and disseminating the dossier, and he absolutely needs to be held accountable. With Clapper, perhaps also, I guess we'll see.
Indeed. Now, Margaret, if people want your information, what can they do? Where can they find your writings?
Sure. I'm right now writing for BizPac Review, which is a great conservative news website operated out of Palm Beach County, Florida, where the president vacations. And it's at www.bizpacreview.com. And we pump out about 30 to 40 articles every day, and I think that the site does a great job, and I'm starting to do some original reporting to really sort of try to crack open some stories that other people haven't done yet or that haven't been out there too much.
Well, we appreciate your work. We'd love to have you back. You have a great day.
Great. Thanks a lot, Kevin. Take care.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the phones. KIDO Talk Radio, always supporting Treasure Valley Charities and, of course, supporting Idaho Charities. Blair joins us now. Blair, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. Hey, I just wanted to give a shout-out to one that's run by my neighbor, and it's called Operation Birthday Bash. And she goes into the homeless shelters, and they work with her to put on birthday parties for the women and the children that are in the shelters. So I would just like to encourage people to support that one.
Operation Birthday Bash at idahogives.org. Is that right?
I'm not sure that when I talked to her, she said that she didn't make it onto the Idaho Gives list this year. She said she was going to try and make it on there for next year, but I just want to make people aware of it.
So Operation Birthday Bash website, Blair, at all? Anything?
She didn't give one to me. You could probably find it. I know mostly they just take private donations because they're kind of working with people that don't really want to be public. So
we appreciate you, brother.
Hey, no worries. You keep doing a great job, Kevin.
Thank you, Blair. Take care.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
You can buy pot, but you have nowhere to smoke it if you're a Las Vegas tourist. But that could all change as pot lounges are closer to a reality. The vote heading to city leaders next week.
And 13 Action News anchor Carla Wade now shows you why, even if it doesn't pass, the debate will continue.
Whether it's for your health or just for fun, you can buy cannabis products almost anywhere here in the Valley. The problem is, once you walk out that dispensary door, the only legal place to light up is inside your home. But next week, the city council could be taking a step that a lot of businesses and consumers are hoping for.
By the way, this is Las Vegas 13, I believe Fox 13, in Las Vegas, and now they want to have pot lounges. I love this. The problem, you love how the reporter, very talented young lady it seems, worded the thing. The problem is you have nowhere to smoke it. So what's the city council going to do? Well, we're going to find a place where you can smoke it and have a good time and toke, 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 toke. It's not a problem. It's illegal, right? Anyway, a little break from Jerry Nadler, a little break from Donald Trump, and to show you that once we start with one weed, one drug, one this, one that, we'll have pot lounges here in the Treasure Valley.
Everyone believes and knows it's going to happen at some point. So the question is just when.
JJ Walker is CEO of Cannabition, a cannabis-themed museum in downtown Las Vegas. It has just the kind of atmosphere a lot of people imagine for the perfect pot lounge.
Almost every single person asks, like, where can you smoke? What's the laws? What's the rules and things like that? And so we tell them, you can only legally smoke in your own private residence here in the state of Nevada. But then they always come back with like, well, I just walked down Fremont Street and everyone's smoking every step of the way.
It's something that's so new.
Walker's been lobbying for laws that would make lounges legal in Las Vegas. In San Francisco, dispensaries have open lounges where people can buy and then smoke their weed too.
Boy, that makes a lot of sense. You can go to the lounge, get high, and then drive home. This is the future that we are fighting against.
But no alcohol is allowed. It's the first.
Yes, we wouldn't want alcohol and marijuana mixing, would we? 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
City in California to allow them, and so far, people have come in droves.
Oh, I bet.
The Las Vegas City Council is considering a similar setup. Walker says after objections from Sheriff Joe Lombardo on behalf of the police department, alcohol was also removed from the equation here. The city would levy a yearly licensing fee, but the council decided the plan needs more tweaking before it can be approved. Walker says he understands a lot of questions have to be answered to everyone's satisfaction.
Where they do it, what are the kind of the rules and things that need to be in place to make sure it's safe?
Carla Wade, 13 Action News.
All right, Carla Wade, good job there. Kevin Miller in the morning, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. I guess we shouldn't be surprised since we're talking about Las Vegas. And you think about, everything happens in Vegas. I'm surprised they don't have marijuana lounges there already. And then again, you have the idea that people are saying that it's only a matter of time before marijuana is legalized nationwide. I love the ordinance. It does have its restrictions. You have to be 1,000 feet from a casino and a school. Well, that makes sense. We wouldn't want anybody being inhibited when they're playing roulette, right? Or when they're teaching a math class. You imagine going to a math class trying to learn calculus when you've just had a joint. They must control the system to prevent pot smoking from leaking outside. Why? Because it stinks. And oddly enough, patrons aren't allowed to smoke cigarettes or drink alcohol. This is the funniest thing that that has nothing to do with politics. Have you noticed that they're looking at raising the national age on buying a cigarette from 18 to 21? Now, they've pretty much run the cigarette industry out of America, right? And some people would say rightfully so. And the next is the fatty industry. They're coming for the fatties. They're coming for me. So we're going to restrict people. And by the way, Disney, those of you that go to Disney, you save up your shekels for millions of years, figuratively, to go to Disney, to hang out with the mouse and the duck. The duck is underrated, by the way, in my opinion. No more smoking, no more vaping at the Disney parks. And on one hand, we're cracking down against cigarettes and the vapesters and the vapors and the vapies. And yet the same people that are doing that want to legalize marijuana. So would that mean that marijuana would be legalized at Disney parks? Shame on you for even thinking about that, Donald Duck. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Just again, as we start the day on the right side, we see the encroachments nationwide. And how in the world can you justify raising the price to buy cigarettes to 21 when the federal government doesn't enforce its anti-drug laws? Or I'm sorry, its drug enforcement laws, not anti-drug laws. That would mean they would be going after Big Pharma, but that's not the case. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Instead of having the hearings before the Senate yesterday and the House today and everything else, I kind of like that idea. Could you see Mazie Hirono hanging out at the bar? Give me a shot of this. Lindsey Graham and all these esteemed senators. And then you have Bill Barr. I guess he would be the bartender, right? He would be the bartender. No pun intended. Anyway, more of your calls on that at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Plus, Las Vegas looking at marijuana lounges and Boise becoming a welcoming city, being the only third city in the country to be officially certified as a welcoming city. Thank you, President Obama. Thank you, liberal Dave Beater, on this. So it begs the question, what does that mean for other cities in the Treasure Valley that don't have this certification? And yes, it goes against the major left narrative to even question the idea of a welcoming city. Now, we're not a sanctuary city. Wink, wink, nod, nod. We're not a sanctuary city. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Hello, San Francisco. Hello, Portland. Hello, Los Angeles. We're a welcoming city. What does that mean? Well, we welcome home, everybody. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO. To me, it's politically correct propaganda. I don't think that anybody in Idaho doesn't welcome people. And the idea that you're going to have a certificate, I wonder that if we will ever have anyone from the esteemed or perhaps not so esteemed Idaho Press Club after their big awards ceremony where they all clapped each other on the back and said, hello, I'm the best in the state. Well, you're the only one in the state, so it's not that big of a deal. If anyone would have the guts to take a look at the cost of the refugee resettlement program. Look, everybody has a right to be safe, and there are atrocities legitimate going on around the world. But many people believe, and I happen to be one of them, that when you bring people in and you give them everything, it's not the same thing as it was in the 1900s when you had people working and becoming Americans. It seems more like we're assimilating towards other cultures than other cultures are assimilating towards us. 580-5436, traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave. Dennis, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello, Dennis.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Not bad. And you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Second-time caller. And it seems funny to me that they're trying to get rid of cigarettes in America and saying that the nicotine in the tar is unhealthy, and yet from marijuana smoking, and I'm not sure whether that would have nicotine like cigarettes, but I would imagine it has some sort of chemicals that are harmful to the body.
It's a very odd set of priorities. Yes, let's raise the age of buying the ciggies and the vaping, and let's vilify those folks, but let's legalize the dope.
It's just backwards. Everything's topsy-turvy in this country. I think it's because we've lost our moorings. We're not. There's nothing that's constant or that's solid right or solid wrong. It's all kind of gray.
Well, that's the way they want it.
Yeah.
That's the way they want it, unfortunately.
They want the one world thing. But anyway, that's my comment for today.
Thank you, Dennis. And by the way, as a second-time caller, you get the ringy-dingy.
What's the ringy-dingy?
The ringy-dingy is this.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. That really makes my day.
Thank you. All right, Dennis, we appreciate you calling us from the great town city of Middleton. By the way, you're going to love this one. Steve Cohen, and nobody knows who Steve Cohen is. He's a Democrat from Tennessee, which is an oxymoron. He actually showed up at the bar no-show for the House Democrats at the Judiciary Committee with a bucket of fried chicken. Now, Steve Cohen's white. We don't want to perpetrate any stereotypes. So he shows up with a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. Why? I don't know. But is this any way for our lawmakers to act? And you can call it the Trump effect. You can call it the Trump derangement syndrome. Here you have a congressman showing up with a bucket of fried chicken. I don't know why. It's a big bucket from the colonel. And apparently, I guess that's to show how disappointed he is that the attorney general is there. Well, sir, you're an adult. You're an elected official. Please act like it. They've really lost their mind. Coming up next, back to this idea of the welcoming city. Are you down with that? And what about welcoming to Americans? Is the city of Boise welcoming to Americans? Is that the question that the press is afraid to ask Boise Mayor Dave Beater? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
And we now know that he was being falsely accused.
We now know he was falsely accused.
And we had made clear that the results of the investigation were going to be made public. And the deputy and I felt that the evidence developed by the special counsel was not sufficient to establish that the president committed a crime.
D in Weiser with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, D.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to comment. I kind of have a different perspective about the marijuana thing. I kind of think that it would be a great idea to decriminalize it, and here's the reason why. If you decriminalize it, you allow people to grow it, and so then the growers who are growing it just for smoking it, it's going to contaminate their product, and they're not going to like that, first of all. And second of all, if you allow people to grow it, there are a lot of uses for it. I think it would be cool to be able to make paper and clothing. There's lots of reasons for that, not just for smoking. And I think people get so focused on the drug part of it that they forget there are other parts of it. Anyway, that's my perspective.
Well, you're talking about what, making marijuana paper?
Yeah, hemp.
Well, hemp is different. Hemp is like the best thing ever from what I hear.
But hemp is the male of the plant, right? So you have to have a female and a male. If you grow hemp, you are basically growing the male version of marijuana. So you have to have both of them to a certain extent. Because if you want to grow your own seed so you can grow hemp, you have to do that.
Well, Dee, we appreciate you listening to KIDO Talk Radio. We're going to agree to disagree.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's go live to the White House. KIDO Talk Radio's John Decker, Fox News Radio. John, good to have you with us.
Hey, it's good to be here. Thanks a lot, Kevin.
Now, I know there's a lot going on in Venezuela, but your thoughts on William Barr meets the Senate?
Well, look, the White House very pleased with his testimony yesterday before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and for good reason. I thought he sounded more like the president's personal attorney than he did the U.S. Attorney General at times during questioning from Senate Democrats. But what I think comes out of that hearing yesterday is that senators from both sides of the aisle now want to hear from Robert Mueller to ask him a lot of the same questions that they asked the Attorney General yesterday, but others as well, including sort of the background to Mr. Mueller sending that letter to Mr. Barr days after Mr. Barr put out a summary of the 448-page report based upon his nearly 2-year investigation.
You look at William Barr, and he was just seemingly unfazed by it all.
Well, that's right. I think he sort of said to himself, I'm going to be like Dick Cheney today, right? A little bit of Dick Cheney yesterday, unfazed by everything, unfazed sometimes when shown things in writing and read to him things that are in writing that didn't faze him at all. And so, that's the sort of the power that an attorney general has to a certain extent. But look, the House Judiciary Committee has powers of their own. And as you know, the attorney general essentially thumbed his nose at the invitation that was offered to him to come before that committee today. Reason being is because he didn't like the format. And so now the committee has to decide, the House Judiciary Committee has to decide whether to hold the attorney general in contempt of Congress. And that's going to just set off another legal battle involving Congress and this administration.
John, haven't we seen this movie before with Eric Holder?
Well, we have. Mr. Holder was held in contempt by a Republican Congress. So you're absolutely right. So maybe Mr. Barr, I don't know if it was intentional, but channeling a little bit of Eric Holder yesterday. I can recall when he ultimately went before Congress and had a similar attitude as Mr. Barr did yesterday when asked tough questions coming from House Republicans. But clearly this battle between Congress on the House side, Democrats on the House side, and the administration is not over by any stretch of the imagination. There are so many legal battles that are going on simultaneously, Kevin, not only this one, but also the battle from the House Financial Services Committee and the House Intelligence Committee to gain access to the president's financial records.
It's fascinating, though, when and John, you cover these guys all the time, where you have Mr. Barr being asked by the senators and about his conversation, and he's just so matter of fact, yeah, I called Bob. And I said, Bob, and then he described the letter as snitty or what have you, and relayed what the special prosecutor said to him. And one of my favorite lines, well, he's the greatest prosecutor of all time. I'm embellishing a little. No, he was a political appointee like me. Very matter of fact. Is that his reputation around town?
Well, yeah, he is pretty matter of fact, and clearly the relationship between Mr. Barr and Mr. Mueller, they've known each other, as Mr. Barr said yesterday, for maybe 3 decades, not as strong as it once was, based upon some of the things that Bill Barr said yesterday during his sworn testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee. But, I just think it's going to make it more interesting, not if Robert Mueller testifies before Congress, but when. And I do think it's going to be when. I think it will be within the next 2 months, if not sooner.
John Decker, we always appreciate your outstanding work. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you real soon.
Yes, sir. That is John Decker joining us. Let's go from the White House to your house, only on KIDO Talk Radio. It's Tea Party Bob.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
Me, I am living the righteous dream.
I see. And you're promoting being obese? Is that what you're doing today?
I think if you had to pick between being a fatty and being a pothead, I'd be a fatty.
Well, I'd agree with you there.
How dare you attack my plumpness? I'm being bullied on my own show.
If you weren't such a good friend, I wouldn't do it. It's nice to hear someone else come out in favor of hemp without you saying it's a drug. So thank you very much for letting that lady speak. Welcome to Boise, land of high taxes, urban renewal, $85 million libraries, and let's not forget the new baseball stadium, and none of it approved by the voters, and welcome all the immigrants, legal and illegal. Sometimes I think I'm at a time warp and living back in New York City with libs listening to someone like Mayor de Blasio dictate to the voters what's going to be. This is the reason I'm escaping to the mountains where the taxes are lower, the politicians are not looking out for the developers, and the residents are, for the most part, pretty conservative. Political officials like Beater will be the ruination of Boise, and as fast as property values have gone up, they will at some point be vulnerable to high taxes and reverse course. Meridian's not much different with Mayor Tammy's history. She is not without past problems and has had many hiccups in her administration with the cost overruns at City Hall, the medical college, and the 10-mile urban renewal project. So why do you think she's not running for another term? We need to go back to the old saying about politicians. Treat them like diapers and change them often. On the Barr hearings, I have never heard so many absurd comments by the Democrats on a Judiciary Committee who were looking to make Barr bleed and wound up looking like a bunch of clowns in a Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey circus with Mazie Hirono as the ringmaster. When Barr was asked about why he didn't investigate the background information of the report, his answer should have been, they spent $25 million, had 19 investigating attorneys, and spent 2 years investigating it. Why would he want to do that all over again? The Dems are so worried about the future investigations about this coup that was perpetrated on the American people. They are trying to do anything to deflect and misdirect the news from any investigations that might be in progress.
Well, let's go back to Hirono for a minute. I mean, what she said. What is wrong with her? I mean, these are just like Lindsey Graham said. You slandered the man. I mean, she blatantly slandered him. And by the way, for people that missed it, let's just give you a little shot of Mazie this morning.
But when we read the report, we knew Robert Mueller's concerns were valid and that your version of events was false.
One more, if you're trying to struggle to wake up so early in the morning.
Being Attorney General of the United States is a sacred trust. You have betrayed that trust. America deserves better. You should resign.
Your thoughts?
She's catering to the Hawaiian people, to her constituents. That's just about what they're like back there. I've got a friend of mine who has a son who was a total conservative, moved over there, about as liberal as you can be now. They change. You have this pressure on you all the time from the libs around you. I think the great fear of the Democrats is that this investigation is going to lead to the Obama White House. And wouldn't that be ironic if he was found to be the one who engineered the whole coup? If we don't clean out the bad guys now, they're going to be around for a long time to come. So I think it's time to get rid of the deep state and start fresh with some new people if we want to keep our country
you
the way
like to
it
say
is.
that in Idaho, too.
Well, and I've said that here before. I mean, if we don't clean house and we don't change what's going on, we're going to wind up with the same problems they have in every big city, in every big state. You know, Idaho is growing by leaps and bounds. You got 1,000 people moving in a month. Hey, you know, you can't keep doing that without having problems. I think you see it as much as I do. Crying out loud, the houses in Star are worth more than the ones in Meridian now on a medium price. How about that?
Well, look, you have a lot of celebrities that live in Star. It's kind of the Beverly Hills of the Treasure Valley.
I'm so sorry.
You know, you got a lot of big talent in Star.
Yes, indeed. I mean, even the ex-governor lives in Star.
You got the governor.
I mean,
you've got Rusty Smurs. You've got Dorothy
Yes,
Smurs.
indeed.
You've got Kevin Miller. You've got I think that's about it.
Kevin, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and thank you for what you're doing for the charities in this state.
Well, God
We
bless
really
you, my
appreciate
friend.
it.
I'm sorry that you're going to retreat. Some of us have
don't
to
worry,
stay and
I'll
fight.
be around. I'm kind of like a bad penny. I just hang around forever.
Thank you, Tea Party Bob.
Take care, my friend. Have a
Oh, sorry, you too. Tea Party Bob, our penny from heaven. Kurt in Boise. Good morning. You're on with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Kurt.
Good morning, Kevin. Yeah, I would just like to comment about, we went from a kind city, now we're going to a welcoming city. And if you look about the refugees, but just look at Omar. She is a refugee, and now look what she is. I'm just curious if we're going to produce somebody like her out of Boise.
My biggest fear is this recruitment, whether it's the lady from California that now is running Boise State for over $400,000 or the folks we're bringing in. We're fostering our own demise here. We don't have enough native liberals, so we're bringing them in.
I totally agree with you, brother. And I hope that you drive around Boise a little bit, but I hope not because the traffic's so bad. But almost on every car, at least 3 out of 5, there's a sticker that says "Welcome Refugees." So these people, they don't seem to understand unless they're that blind that these refugees are going to turn this city into another Portland.
Well, I think that's what they want. I think that's what Mayor Beater wants. I mean, here's a guy that, when the healthcare thing was going on, the lies perpetrated by Obama and Biden, the city council led by him passed a non-binding resolution to endorse Obamacare. How did that work out for the citizens of Boise and the Treasure Valley? I feel sorry. In fact, I'm going to start praying for people that live in Boise because, man, it's a beautiful city. It's great, but it's not Idaho and it's not the Treasure Valley.
You're absolutely right. I mean, we could use all the prayers anybody could send, man, because I'm just afraid what's going to happen is I'm just glad that the rest of Idaho is conservative because Boise's going to turn into Portland, like I said, and it's just going to be terrible, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and maybe we need to find out where Tea Party Bob's moving, and we could all start our own little town up there somewhere.
That would be New Meadows. He's going to New Meadows. So.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to look into that because the taxes are crazy, the traffic's crazy, and now all the libs are driving me crazy too. So I don't know.
Well, wake up to the crazies. That's what we call this show.
Well, I'm crazy like you are, brother. We're both on the same side.
Kurt, you have a great day. God bless, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Kurt and Boise joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning, taking your calls. Boise being a welcoming city. What if you're unwelcome? Is a conservative welcome in the city of Boise? Conservative Steve joins us now. Kevin Miller in the morning. Sorry we missed you earlier. Good morning.
Yeah, sorry about that. I got disconnected. Hey, I was just commenting on the Russ. I think it was Russ talking about the nominee for the Democratic Party, and he had some scriptural basis there. And, really, if you look at it, it's like this, if you read the word at all, it says that these days would happen, that people would be turned over to a reprobate mind. There would come a day that wrong would be right and right would be wrong, and people wouldn't know the difference. And, like in my day, the notion that you're going to watch some of the programs that they have at primetime TV right now with your family is just ridiculous. I mean, they condone it in everything they put on the TV. So what in the world do you think these kids are supposed to think? And what's really amazing is I know a lot of parents, they kind of sit there and watch these sitcoms with their kids, promoting gay behavior and relationships and stuff like that with people, and then they wonder how come their teenage or even their middle school kids are having issues. It's just really crazy, you know? Wow, I can't believe it. And then they complain about it, but they sit there and they laugh together about it when it's comedy with a couple of gay guys raising up kids. You know, it's just, you know, and the good word, he's right. The good word says if this would happen, it would go this way because it would be out of control. He would stand up. And just like in Sodom and Gomorrah, the days of Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's what the word says. When the days become like the days of Sodom and Gomorrah, look toward the heavens. And, you know, whether you believe the word or not, that's what it says, man. So have a great day, my friend. And all these people that have a welcome refugee sticker on your car, they're all welcome at your house. You take care of them. How about that? All right, buddy.
All right, Conservative Steve on KIDO Talk Radio. I take it he won't be voting for Mayor Pete Buttigieg. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you, Ray Amaya. Back to your phone calls. Blake in Meridian with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Blake.
Kevin, good morning. How are you?
Living the dream, brother, and you?
Fantastic. Me as well. Hey, a quick comment. Whenever I go visit my dad, I like to pick up the Statesman to read to see what those wacky people on the left are up to. And I think 3 times in the last 4 months, I've read letters to the editors stating that only people who are pro-building the wall should be paying for the wall. I think that's a great idea. Let's do that. Let's make that a law. But then let's also make it a law that people who are against building the wall should be required to bring in one family of illegal aliens into their own home and pay their grocery bills, their medical bills, and their utilities. What do you think about that?
I like that idea, and everybody with the bumper stickers, everybody needs a place to stay. Let them stay at their place.
Exactly. They should be required to do that. You know, they're loving, tolerant liberals. They should be paying for the illegals here. If conservatives are required to pay for the wall to prevent illegal people from coming into our country, well, it logically follows that people who are pro-illegal immigration should be required to take illegals into their homes and care for them.
Here's the other one. When was the last time a devious little liberal was ever logical?
Well, they just like spending other people's money. And they're not logical. That is correct.
And they're highly emotional.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're ruled by emotion, not logic.
Blake, you have a blessed day. Thank you, sir.
You as well. Thanks, Kevin. Bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's get you to work safely and on time. KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Dave. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Just wanted to thank you all for listening and keep it here. Don't go anywhere. You got Glenn, you got Dave, you got Sean, one of a kind, Sean Hannity, Lars Larson. We appreciate you waking up on the right side. Ray Amaya, great job. God bless you and your family. Have a great day.